Hey guys, Corey Hyden from Free Play Arcade here. I'm at our Arlington, Texas location playing an extremely rare dedicated Hit the Ice, which took all the rules out of hockey long before NBA Jam did the same for basketball. Hit the Ice is a 4-player hockey game where the rules of hockey are abandoned in favor of violence, hoagies, and anything extreme that could have been thrown into the game. Tonight we are playing Hit the Ice. It's a Taito-programmed, Williams-released game from 1990-1991. Taito, they were the company that came up with Space Invaders and basically created the arcade revolution. Taito has kind of an interesting background. It's a Japanese company, but it's founded by a Ukrainian guy. Originally, Taito was a vending machine company, and then they started distilling vodka. And they were the very first, allegedly the very first company to sell vodka in Japan. And then Taito, of course, would then go on to make Space Invaders. Then they had a series of mildly successful games, Arkanoid, which was their version of Breakout, and then they had Bubble Bobble. And then they got stuck making games for other people. Around that time, Williams really wanted a new version of a game that was kind of like Arch Rivals, which was the basketball game that Midway had put out. And Hit the Ice was the hockey version of that. Hit the Ice follows no rules of hockey. There's no icing, there's no penalties, it encourages fighting. It's a 2-button, 1-joystick game where one of the buttons is punch, one of them is trip, and when you're on offense, it's pass or shoot. It's very simple. Subject to a lot of abuse and probably a lot of bar fights over the years as the game achieved a mild success and relative popularity, especially in the northern states. The interesting thing about Hit the Ice is Williams made about 1,000 dedicated cabinets and had no distributor to release them in any of the southern states. So Texas had no real opportunity to get Hit the Ice, and of course our arcade, Free Play Arlington, is in Arlington, Texas. And by all accounts, at least certainly available to public and potentially period, we have the only dedicated Hit the Ice in the state of Texas. And in fact, since it was a 4-player dedicated cabinet, many of them were converted later to the more successful NBA Jams, and even you'll see the Konami 4-player games, the Ninja Turtles, the Simpsons, in the Hit the Ice and dedicated cabinets. After having a pretty decent release and a pretty decent reception for their 4-player Hit the Ice dedicated cabinet, Williams asked Taito to figure out a good way to do a conversion, and the best conversion that Taito was able to come up with was a dual screen conversion, because there weren't that many 4-player cabinets. It was kind of interesting. To the extent Hit the Ice made it into the South, it was as these conversions, and you see them every once in a while, and it looks just like the one that you see briefly in the Galleria arcade in Terminator 2. Taito, not really knowing what they were going to do with this game, programmed an unreleased version that was based on the arcade hardware originally, that had incorporated relatively deep role-playing elements, leveling up, increasing your stats. Williams didn't want that, so Williams asked Taito to take it out, but Taito maintained their own console licensing rights to Hit the Ice. And so they had an NES version planned that's one of the more famous unreleased games. Hit the Ice did later get released on SNES and Genesis, and Taito was able to make a little bit of profit off Hit the Ice, and Hit the Ice is a total cult hit and definitely influenced the Midway games to come, the NBA Jams, the Blitz, and is a very interesting transition game because most people see Hit the Ice and they assume it came out at the same time or later than NBA Jam, but it was actually one of the first 4-player kind of extreme sport type games. You can play the only Hit the Ice in Texas here at Free Play Arcade in Arlington, Texas.